Hey, episode 85 of the Nashville Artist Podcast is now out, featuring Quinton Kufahl, an over-the-top drummer, singer, and devoted Batman and Kiss fan. Quinton's art blends his diverse inspirations, seamlessly mixing elements of Kiss, Batman, and other passions into his noir-meets-action-hero band, Idol. Quinton's drumming journey began at age 5, and he's recently been honing his rudiments, with a focus on doubles, paradiddles, and 16th notes. Currently touring with Holocene, he shares tips for overseas travel as a working musician. Quinton's wide-ranging musical influences include Kiss, Black Veil Brides, Avenged Sevenfold, Ghost, Rush, and Dream Theater. He admires drummers like Peter Criss, Peart, and Mike Portnoy. Enjoy the podcast episode. So what have you been up to earlier today?
Earlier today, I woke up at 7:30 because I needed to use the restroom. And I had my alarm set, I think for 8. And I do this like every morning. And I contemplate, do I just power through and stay up, or do I go lay in bed again? And today I thought, I guess I'll go lay in bed again. Because then I think that in a half hour when my alarm goes off, that I'm going to have the dedication to then get up, and then I don't, and then I just, it's a mess. So slept in a little too late, and then took a shower, took my Vita vitamins, and did the hair, and
Nice.
then did social media postings.
Yeah.
Which take an obnoxious amount of time.
Yeah. What is that process like for you? Do you have like apps you use to cut them up or whatever? Or?
I'm more photo based.
Especially with Instagram.
Yeah, on all of it. I just like the photos because I like zoom on my favorite artists. I like zooming in and seeing different things. You know, like how does this jacket look? All the stylistic elements of things. I dig that. So I just take that approach too. And it's a little cheaper that way, and it kind of cuts down on time as well. Because putting clips together in reels is even more time. And that's very strenuous. So
Yeah.
did that for my own band and then my personal self. And it was time to go then.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we'll get started here.
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Quinton Kufahl is here.
Hello.
Thank you for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Awesome. So where are you from?
I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
And I moved here almost exactly a year ago.
Wow.
I'm just past the year mark.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To Nashville. Awesome. Do you have any siblings?
I have a brother who's a year younger than me.
Awesome. Is he also into art and music?
In his own way. He is a better drawer than I am. Growing up, we would draw a lot. He was just, we were both very good. We could both look at something and draw it, but he was better at the free flow idea of creating something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that good at that.
Yeah. What is his name?
Colin.
Colin?
2 L's.
Colin.
Yeah.
Nice. What about your parents? Are they into art and music?
Yeah. My dad more so is like the artsy guy. And my mom, in her own way, is into art as well. In probably more of a like traditional sense, but not a very like outward, like I don't think she would proclaim herself as an artist.
What are their names?
Mark and Nancy.
Nice. Mark.
Strong parent names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So what were you into as a kid?
The same things I'm still into. Batman and Kiss. I will say my best friends growing up were and are still very sports centric people. So I would play a lot more sports.
What sports did you play?
We tried kind of everything. Baseball was a big one. Football was a big one. Ultimate Frisbee became a really big one.
Oh, yeah.
We all ran cross country together. They got me into running. So after practices, the meeting of minds, or like the hangout idea, was let's take over the football field and do Ultimate Frisbee. So I really like Ultimate Frisbee, but nowadays I don't have enough people to play. I don't even have enough people to just toss a Frisbee.
Right.
So, but yeah, Batman and Kiss, I'll just keep it simple.
Which Batman? Cartoon Batman or?
I love them all.
Yeah.
Like it's an affinity, but Batman the Animated Series is probably my favorite show.
From the 90s?
Yeah, of all time.
And when Mark Hamill played Joker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful show. I think I've heard most people say when they read the comic books, that's the voice they hear. They hear Mark Hamill's Joker and Kevin Conroy's Batman, and I mean, a great voice cast. But my first Batman was probably Adam West, because my dad grew up with Adam West, and that's what he remembered. So I like Adam West a lot too.
Nice. So what first got you into drumming and art?
Probably my pops. That seems like a classic scenario, right? Like your parents kind of show you things they like or used to do to kind of relive their youth and get the bit of nostalgia. So when we were 5, my dad, parents, Santa, the whole Christmas situation, bought us, or they gifted us a drum set, but it was like a Catalina kit, so it was proportionally fit for a 5-year-old, but it wasn't a hunk of junk either. It wasn't a first act drum situation. And then my brother had received a miniature guitar that I believe was Gibson, but it was child size and it still could play. So that's what got me really into drumming. But my father also introduced us into Kiss as well, which was and still is a driving musical factor in my life. And I mean, I can't picture or think of a better band to get a child into music with than Kiss, because they are so visually exciting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So how did you start out playing drums or music?
Just thwacking, honestly. Like when you're 5, you're not constructing anything. You're just hitting stuff. It's just sound based. And you, for whatever reason, actually not for whatever reason, the particular Kiss concert that I had seen was the 2000 farewell tour concert with the original lineup. So Peter Criss at that time is, older, and he just doesn't have the ability to move like he did when he was younger. So he kind of hung out on the first 2 Mountain Toms a lot. And they were triggered and everything, so they sounded huge and super deep. And I really picked up on that and would mimic that. So I really hung out on the first 2 Toms as well and thought that I was playing like him, because that's visually what I was seeing. Sonically, it was not what he was playing at all. So that's kind of how I got started into drumming. I did have a lesson, I think when I was 6, at a music store, and that didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Because you're 6.
Right.
that's the issue with Kiss that people have, is it's like the style over substance. And it's really not that case, but when you're 6, it's all about the style. You don't think about all the hours they put into constructing songs, and that's even a thing. You just see the finished product, and you're trying to mimic that. So when I had to introduce the bass drum foot at this drum lesson, it just was, well, this isn't easy. Like, there's no way Peter Criss is doing this. That's impossible. I thought it was just there to hold the 2 toms.
Oh, interesting.
Even though there's a pedal attached. But you're 6. You just don't think about that stuff. So that was like the musical, that's the beginning stages, but the true like pebble into snowball became middle school, where, I don't know about your experience, but in my district, you can join band class in 6th grade. Our system was K through 5, 6 through 8, and then 9 through 12. So 6th grade, join band. And at that point, this is kind of a blur. I had really good hands. I could do like variations of diddles and paradiddle doubles and stuff like that. I just didn't know what it was. So like stuff like that. And like, that was not a great rendition. I swear I'm more capable of drumming than that. But the idea, right? Like that you're just practice pad stuff. I just never, I didn't think about what I was doing. I think my dad just said like, well, maybe just try like right, left stuff. And it just stuck. I just don't remember ever working on that stuff. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when you were in middle school, like, were you played in band, like pep band, or is it
like band class, like concert band? Okay. We didn't have pep band until high school.
Okay.
So concert band class was your traditional, wear a white shirt and a tie, and I mean it's
like orchestra kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's different sectors of it all, but that's when I really got into drumming. My parents got me into drum lessons, like private instruction, and it just shot off then.
Other than Kiss, your early influences like in middle school and I guess early high school, what were you really excited about?
I mean, classic rock overall. Like, we're the same age, so we had Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Defining music. Like
brought all the classics back.
Yeah, it did. And new bands like Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
That parents were probably like, what the heck is this? But I really think that kind of defined our music. It wasn't just pop radio then. And it wasn't just what your parents listened to. That was a whole generational thing. Same with rock band. And you could have like the cliche, like cheerleader, know who AC/DC was. And then, all these different like cliques just understand about rock music.
Yeah.
So I got really heavy into classic rock music. My parents in the car would play classic rock radio. But Kiss is the band, man. That was who I was just obsessed with.
What other classic rock did you like?
I mean, I think everyone kind of gravitates towards AC/DC. But I could say right now I'm really not a big AC/DC fan.
Yeah.
This is you're just discovering music.
Well, yeah,
so
we're talking just early.
Yeah, so you're figuring out like who all these dinosaurs are. And who else? I don't know, Guns N' Roses. All the shirts that you could buy at a Target or a Walmart. And at the time it was kind of limited. It's not like it is now where there's just hundreds of different graphic tees.
Yeah, you can just go to Hot Topic.
Well, you could go to Hot Topic. Hot Topic was way different, though. It was way more about like trip fashion and lip service fashion. I mean, you had graphic tees, but I was only looking for Kiss shirts. So then the blinders were on, looking past bands like Devil Wears Prada or whoever was like really current at the time. I just wanted this stuff.
Kiss.
Yeah. I know that's probably a super lame answer, but I'm a kind of guy that if I like something, I'm all in. Like I got to know everything. I'm not just like, yeah, that's okay. Like that's okay. But
what is your favorite detail about Kiss?
Detail?
Like,
what do you mean?
Like the aesthetics, like what really like when you because you keep going back to them to today. Like, what is it that has the it factor?
I think this is probably a bogus answer. They have it all, and you can be any age range and find something you like new about it. So when you're 5, you're thinking about the explosives and like the show element.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you get a little older and you're drawing stuff and you go, wow, these costumes are really cool. Like I have an art project in 4th grade, and like Peter Criss is going to be the focal point of the project. Middle school comes along, and then you start to get more in the music because now you're working on drumming. Then you get into high school, and maybe you're paying more attention to the lyrics, and you can figure out what Love Gun's about. And you can go, wow, this is like, my chemicals are changing inside me, and I get it. And then you become an adult, and I think you can kind of see the whole picture of, or maybe respect like the branding of it. Then you get old, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just so many different levels as you age with a band like that.
Yeah.
That keeps you intrigued at all times.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. Like I like how you zeroed in on different elements at different ages.
Yeah. That's more in reflection. I wasn't consciously doing that at the time. Because I still liked the music. There were certain songs that I really, really enjoyed at like age 7. Nice. I just didn't know what they meant.
So why would you say you're drawn to art and music?
How would I say?
Or why would you say you're drawn to music and art?
Gosh, that's a really tough question. I don't know. I think my answer today would be that an artist feels compelled to do something. I don't know if someone chooses to do art, but so much that art maybe chooses the person. The two can go hand in hand, I think. But I don't know where I heard the phrase, but like an artist feels compelled to do something. And if I think back to high school, I didn't have a phone. I didn't have MySpace. I barely had a Facebook. So I just thought, I just really want to play drums. And at the time, maybe that was the seed that was being planted for what I want to do with my life right now. That makes sense? Like it's kind of vague, but there definitely wasn't like, I don't feel a tipping point, other than it just kind of slowly matured to where as I started getting to the point of graduating high school, then I thought, what am I going to do with my life? And I guess music was the idea, but I always thought I could probably do music anyway. It just kind of was like, push come to shove, I don't want to do anything else. I want to play drums for a living. So.
Nice. How do you develop your artistic skills? Do you have routines? Like for your current way to progress?
I listen to a lot of interviews with bands that I like, with the few bands that I'm completely invested in. I try to absorb what they say and what they create and talk about their creative process. And it's not that I want to copy that, but a lot of times I feel like I'm doing the exact same thing, or maybe I try a new method of something. As far as drums go, I am more now in touch with rudiments and working kind of more bare bones like that. Granted, my living situation kind of forces me to be that way. But Let me think. I do exercise, and I think that helps kind of provoke thought. I like to run, like I had said, so running, you can't really do anything else but think. I don't run with earbuds in, I don't run with music, I just, whatever sounds I'm hearing and whatever I'm thinking is just, that's the soundtrack for that particular run. So, is there anything like specific?
I mean, like you play in a couple different bands, and
Mhm.
I'm guessing you would just practice their songs, or how do you like? Do you have creativity? Like you said, rudiments. Is it just practicing rudiments, or is it like breaking them up between your hands and feet? Is it?
Okay, yeah, so for rudiment stuff, I'm pretty boring. I like doubles, I like paradiddles, and I like sixteenths. I feel like that's the core of sticking that I'm going to use in my kind of bread and butter. And I honestly just see if I can, how fast I can go. But I created like a T chart. I call it a rudiment log. When I teach drums, I tell my students it's the rudiment log. And you start at maybe 60 beats per minute, and you play that. It depends on how much time you have. I usually just say for 1 minute, you're hanging out at 60 minute BPM. And then when the minute's up, you go to 70. When the minute's up, you go to 80. And you just keep climbing the ladder, and you just see how fast you can get. And you don't realize how long a minute is until you're at 200 BPM trying to rip 16th notes, and you're gasping, and then you're clenching, and your form goes out the window. That works well for me. I think that's pretty valuable. And you don't have to do that with just rudiments. You can do that with anything. You can slow something down, put it to a metronome, and slowly speed it up. So if you want to get better at 16th note double bass, you can do the same idea. If you want to get better at a certain fill that you heard in a song, you figure out the sticking and extract it, and you just loop it over and over again. That's where I'm at. It's pretty formulaic. Otherwise, I just enjoy playing like cover songs, or not cover songs, but songs of bands I really like.
Who would that be at the moment?
Well, I haven't done it in a while. In my formative years, I was hitting the Bon Jovi greatest hits a lot, as well as the Journey greatest hits and Boston. Those were like the big three that they like offered the ability to play within the song, but they also had a lot of space in it where you could go full Mike Portnoy mode and just completely overplay the song and throw in a lot of fills and stuff. And I feel like both of those situations were incredibly valuable. Nowadays, a lot of my favorite bands write music that is incredibly intricate to play. Black Veil Brides is as big of a band in my eyes as Kiss. Like, they're a huge inspiration for me, and I love their music. So CC, the drummer, is playing super complex parts, like completely out of my wheelhouse. I can't play a lot of that stuff, but I haven't had the time to kind of go in and chip away at songs like that because, as you'd previously asked, I am really busy working on songs for the band I play with in town, and I only have a limited chunk of time anyway in my day. I only have about 3 hours every evening to practice. Granted, 2 of those evenings I'm working.
Where do you work?
I play with this band called Holocene. They moved into town just over a year ago as well. And they put on Twitch streams twice a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. So for 3 hours, we basically do what folks do on Broadway. We'll start with some songs, but then we predominantly take requests. And they are the first band to have ever done music on Twitch. So that's my work.
Huh.
And it's fun, yeah.
And you do that, what, Monday through Friday?
Just Wednesday and Friday.
Oh, just Wednesday.
2 days a week, and then that's when we're not touring. So actually next week I leave for tour, so I get to, that's work then.
I understand.
So then not a ton of practice happens.
So when you're back from the road, that happens twice a week.
Yep.
how else do you have other jobs that you have to do, or do you?
I teach drum lessons on Mondays. When I was in Wisconsin, I had built up a pretty big roster of students. And when I moved here, I converted them all onto FaceTime lessons. So that's what I do Mondays.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, of all time, who are like your favorite artists? You said Kiss, Black Veil Brides.
Those two, Avenged Sevenfold, it's a huge one. I really love Ghost. They got it going on. And Rush is a huge band. And Dream Theater. I know that people like feel like, what's your top 5? And that's so tricky. But those are the bands I always go back to.
Okay. What is your favorite Kiss album?
So, Sonic Boom. And that is a completely unpopular opinion. Because that album came out in 2009, I want to say.
Wow.
It was a Walmart exclusive release. And I think it's my favorite album because it came out when I was 13. And that's like the peak of Kiss fandom. It was just like the tipping point. Because you could go to Walmart and in the music section, they had a whole aisle devoted to Kiss merchandise.
Wow.
And you could buy the album too. The album was really slick because it had Sonic Boom, the LP. It had a re-recording of greatest hits tunes. And it also had a DVD of like 5 songs from that tour in Buenos Aires. So like really good packaging. The art was interesting. And then you could buy Kiss potato heads if you could scrape together the money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So those are your favorite artists. What about favorite drummers of all time?
Peter Criss got me into drumming. And then subsequently, all the other 2 drummers in Kiss, Eric Carr and Eric Singer, play a huge role as well. Neil Peart is a huge point of inspiration. He's my dad's favorite drummer. And then if you like Neil Peart, you're bound to discover Mike Portnoy, and that's what I did. I really enjoy Mike Portnoy. CC from Black Veil Brides does not get the love he deserves. He writes some incredibly interesting parts and has some wicked chops. And then it kind of fluctuates. Growing up, I looked at Thomas Lang a lot. That dude's unreal. And then I discovered who Eric Imprata is, and that guy's a beast. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I mean, right now, Grayson Nakutram is such an interesting drummer. And then, of course, I mean, I like Tommy Lee too. So, it kind of, you could probably look at me and guess who I like. I don't want to say I copy, but maybe I do copy. In their eyes, I'm probably copying, but I wear them proudly on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you really adapt the aesthetics from all those bands into your image.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is it's not just about the aesthetic. That's where people I think get hung up on things. This is an aesthetic. I get that. Like, not a lot of people look like this, but there is so much more musically to Kiss. Peter Criss didn't get the credit he deserved. People love to just bash Black Veil Brides because they look kind of like this.
Huh.
And it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But if people would listen to a live rendition of Coffin by Black Veil Brides, you'd be blown away with the chops of the drummer. It's just a drum solo the whole time. It's ridiculous. In the coolest way. I don't mean it ridiculous as I can't believe he's doing that. I like the ridiculous.
Nice.
So yeah, today those are the answers.
Okay, great. How did your band Idol come about?
Oh boy. You may have to remind me this question or kind of help guide me because it's very long-winded. When I was in high school, I was putting together a band because I was loving 80s hair metal, and I thought, well, I got to do a band like this. So I put an ad on Craigslist. I'm like 14. And I found who is now the bass player of Idol, Nick Ferrante. But at the time, he was a guitar player. And he was studying jazz at an art school in Milwaukee, taking private lessons at the same store I was, though I never would see him. And we jammed like 18 in Life by Skid Row, and it was then kind of the search to find the next pieces of the puzzle. Well, he kind of went rogue, and I then found Jake Popowski a year or two later, who is the lead guitarist, only guitarist in Idol. And this dude just shreds it. He was just playing stuff I couldn't believe. And we got in the same room and we jammed like Yngwie Malmsteen songs, just crazy stuff. And he showed me who Racer X is, all these super shreddy bands and artists. And then we started to put together a band, Jake and I. And I called up Nick. I'm like, we really should have two guitarists, because that's what every 80s hair metal band did. They had two guitarists. They could do dueling leads and stuff. So then Nick got back in the picture, and we formed this band. In high school, kind of ran its course. I graduated, and we sort of tried to keep it together, but we just couldn't find the right people entirely. So we thought, well, okay, well, naturally, let's just ditch the other people, and us three, let's write music, because now at this time, Nick had converted from, or transitioned from guitar into bass. So we started writing like instrumental tunes in the style of Racer X, where the songs are still structurally traditionally structural, like a radio song. Where there's an intro, verse, chorus, verse 2, chorus 2, bridge, solo, out. There's just no words. So we had these two songs that we really, really liked. I personally felt like I wasn't happy with how we could release them. I didn't have any money at the time because I'm 18 or whatever. So I didn't want to just release it as like a basement recording, because that wasn't going to do it justice. And then around the same time, my personal hired gun career was really like picking up. I was playing in a tribute band. I was playing then went to play with like an 80s cover band. And I just didn't really have the time to like write music in the basement. I needed to be out gigging and making money. So those two songs got shelved. This is around 2016. And in 2022, in 2021, I started realizing that I could write my own drum solos and like release them as a song on Spotify to kind of just like piss off other solo acoustic people. That was, I guess, my agenda. But it's not just like playing a solo. I would create a whole theme or vibe surrounding the drum solo. So I have notebooks and I'm writing ideas, and I wrote down a comic book drum solo. And it kind of then occurred to me that there were these two other songs that I wrote with my friends. And I couldn't think of a drum solo to do. I had written, I think at that time, 3 drum solos, and 2 dual drum cover videos. And I was looking for the next thing, and I had rediscovered the songs, and I kind of had this aha moment that, oh, we could bring these back and make a story out of this, like a comic book story, because the one song right out of the gate sounded like it could be a hero theme. The other song sounded like it could be a villain theme. It just worked that way. Also, at the time, I was listening to interviews of Danny Elfman, and he was describing his process to writing soundtracks, particularly for like Batman films and everything. And he had said, you have themes for different characters, and then you can create kind of bridges between those themes. It's just like an aha moment. So I got in touch with Jake and Nick again, and they got on board. And initially, I kind of, I guess, thought we were going to do 2 songs, and then it became, well, we could do a whole concept album. At the time, Black Veil Brides had released actually, I got to jump around. So let's finish this particular topic. Black Veil Brides had released a concept album telling the origin stories of a superhero. And I went, gosh dang it, dude. I had the idea for a superhero band years ago, because in around 2018, I was putting together a band, and I had thrown out, it'd be kind of neat if we were superheroes, maybe more like Watchmen or something, not, traditional capes or anything, kind of like old school like that. But the bandmate at the time was not into it. So here comes Black Veil Brides releasing this album. It's like, oh, of course, like the idea I had is being taken now. But I thought of a different way we could do it, and if anything, it validated that that's a good idea. So Nick, Jake, and I started going through, what do we want this to be? We love Batman the Animated Series, and we love the soundtrack that Shirley Walker had made for that show, which is old school noir. There's trumpets, there's strings. And we thought it'd be really neat if we could incorporate that. So we looked through the old 2 songs, thought about adding some things, and we added some things for the villain theme. The hero theme, we just kept straight up a 3-piece. And I began writing a story that actually mimics a lot of what I've gone through in my life. People I've crossed paths with, and formulated this story. Dreams that I've had. Like, I want to be like the most superstar drummer, celebrity guy I can be. I like that. So if I can't be that right now, I am on my own level, but I'm not we were talking earlier, a Taylor Swift level, or like a Travis Barker level, like where you're now a household name. I would love that. That'd be so fun. I'm not that right now though. I am on my own level. So in the story, I am that. I am this like super duper celebrity jazzer guy. And that kind of brought on like, well, if that's going to be the alter ego, I'm not sure if this is making sense. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm going to have an alter ego, the Bruce Wayne of the story, there's no way we're going to have like Yngwie Malmsteen guitars going on. That just doesn't make any sense, right? That's not what like a high society kind of guy would have. What does high society listen to? Like classical music or maybe jazz? Jazz is kind of like the more rock and roll of high society, I feel. So we started, and we all 3 love jazz. Nick grew up learning jazz theory extensively, as I had mentioned. So we just started putting it together where the Bruce Wayne part of the story will be jazz music. And as things start to happen, the bad tipping point where in the story, if you're following my fiance in the story and I get mugged. So we have a song post-mugging that there's no horns, there's no jazzy elements. It's a straight up ballad that's really sad, which will then transition to that hero theme I mentioned, which is more Malmsteen Racer X style. And then the rest of the album kind of carries out into more rock metal stylings. But we drop in trumpet parts. We'll drop in violin parts. We have saxophones in there too, just as a callback to the origin character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So what was the initial question again?
How did that band come about?
That is how the band came about, and it took years.
Whenever I look at the pictures of it, I can definitely see the animated Batman series coming out in it.
Thank you.
I can tell because of all that music and like it's like Batman, but it's the 40s kind of vibe to it,
Yeah.
or 20s vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, old school, like fedoras.
Yeah, fedoras.
Trench coats.
Everyone's wearing suits.
Yeah, suits. I mean, Iced on Kills is doing that with the whole hip to be scared thing with American Psycho. But I don't know other bands that are like doing it this way.
Yeah, no, I thought,
you know, not to like toot my own horn.
Yeah,
I'm obviously very proud of it, and I think any creative person should be super proud of what they've done. But I'm just really excited about it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you've done some extensive touring overseas or abroad.
Mm-hmm.
What are some key takeaways that you've gathered from that experience, from those experiences?
If it's in the wintertime, bring warm clothes because it is cold over there. And I'm from Wisconsin, as I had mentioned, but I guess I didn't factor. The thing is, when you tour, you have to factor in how other people live too. And if everyone else is hot in the car, but you're not, you are now outnumbered. And that is exactly what happened. So the next time we go back in the winter time, I'm definitely buying lawn underwear and more thermal layers that I can wear, because I was wearing pants like this and I had, I think, 3 lawn sleeve thermal shirts and a hoodie and a leather jacket, and that was not enough. So dress warm. Make sure that you let your credit card company know that you're going overseas, because your credit card will not work if you don't let them know. You should also call your phone company and let them know that you want an international plan and ask what your options are. I'm not sure if these are the takeaways you're looking for, but
no, I mean,
these tips I don't think people think about.
Right.
And someone's got to tell you. So I didn't have to like convert currency or anything. I just used my credit card, and I didn't really experience any like astronomical fees or anything. So there were those things. I mean, this goes without saying, just be polite. You're a foreigner. But I feel like foreigners can kind of get like googly-eyed and just play it cool and just kind of blend in. You know, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah.
Make sure you have a valid passport. That's kind of a big duh. But we had and have, our tour manager is a complete professional. He's from Belgium, and he has done this a lot of times. So he was able to get our paperwork all in order. We basically had to like scan in our passport information to him, and he took care of the rest. His job is incredibly difficult. He has to worry about this thing called the carnet, and the carnet is a whole breakdown of everything you have with you. Merchandise, instruments, all of it. And if you get pulled over by like the German police, they want to see that. When you cross borders, they want to see that. And it just validates everything you have, that you're a legitimate business, you're there, and you're not in like an alien or something. So that was some of the big takeaways. Otherwise, the food over there is great.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, when you get past the fact that they don't season everything like we do here, it's more about the freshness. Then I think you can truly enjoy the food. The McDonald's over there are better. That was kind of our cheeky thing. We go to a lot of McDonald's. The Big Mac is not called a Big Mac. It's called a McTasty. They have Impossible meat if you're a vegetarian. So, the water over there, well, everything's just smaller, but sometimes I would experience a shower that was not very warm. And rooms take a long time to heat up because they have the old school like coil heat system. It's not central. So it just took forever to get a room warm. But then again, I was living with people who are constantly warm, so then it was, we got to open this window. I can't.
No, please.
Yeah, I can't handle this, guys. Like, I'm freezing. So
Nice.
those are some things that come to mind. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what would you say inspires your creativity?
What inspires my creativity? I guess just doing like over the top stuff. Like what, I don't know. How do I answer that? See, when I was listening to your interviews, you would get to questions like this, and I thought, how am I going to answer this? Because I feel like that's a complicated question. It's kind of taking, I guess, what I love about all the bands I listed and like doing my own thing. Like, how can I fit within, excuse me, their sort of theatrical rock ecosystem, but make my own mark? Like, Alice Cooper was the first to really wear makeup on stage, but then Kiss took that and did the next thing. And then, Motley Crue had their own way of doing, not regurgitating, but they just like took it a different way. And Alice Cooper, Kiss, Motley Crue, Wasp, Black Veil Brides, they're all kind of the same, right? They just do their own thing. Like Kiss would never throw raw meat into a crowd, but Wasp is going, this is a great idea. Let's throw raw meat in the crowd. So I guess I think about it like that. It's not so much strategizing, it's truly who I am, but how can I kind of do my own thing based on what my heroes have done before me?
Nice. That's awesome. So how would you best describe the type of artist you are?
Over the top. And I think that speaks musically and visually.
Awesome. Okay. What are your strengths and weaknesses as an artist?
My strengths are I feel like I have a lot of ideas. And I am very loyal and willing to commit and help whoever I'm with, whether it's my own thing or I'm with Holocene. I'm a pretty committed kind of guy. My weaknesses are I wish I could sing better. And probably that nowadays I don't practice as much as I could.
Nice. Okay, so you've been in Nashville for a year now. What initially brought you here?
The opportunity, the lure of opportunity. I feel like there's 3 big cities you could move to right now, and that's LA, New York, or Nashville. I visited LA in 2015 and got to play the Whiskey A Go-Go, which was really incredible. But walking around, I just didn't feel like it was a real place. I don't know if that makes sense. It just did not feel like there was like a community anywhere. Now, granted, I pretty much was stuck on the Sunset Strip, and I went on Melrose Avenue. I didn't have the ability to drive myself around. We took Ubers, but it just didn't feel like a place to set up shop. New York, I visited on a high school trip, but that's just a big city. And as well, LA and New York are incredibly expensive. Like, I didn't even need to look at numbers. You just know it's expensive. So I thought, let's go to Nashville. I had a lot of people tell me that I should move to Nashville because it's kind of becoming the new hotbed. And I visited a couple years ago and found it to be similar to Wisconsin. Not that I love everything about Wisconsin, but at the time I was here in November and the leaves were truly changing red, orange, yellow. And in Wisconsin in fall, that doesn't happen so much. I mean, it does, but it's just gray and rainy and disgusting. And it felt really nice here. And then in November, I was able to wear a light jacket and not so many layers of clothing. So that really was more of a driving force. I just knew I needed to move somewhere to change it up.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was 27, and I feel like 30 is kind of that pivotal moment of, okay, you kind of got to be like a true adult now. you should probably like consider financially the rest of your life and start saving for that, not take such big risks. So here we are.
Nice. What is something you've learned living here?
This is probably not the answer you would expect, but actually how much I still actually do enjoy Wisconsin. Because at the time I felt a lot of resentment for like the city and the state. And moving here and you start from square one, you kind of realize certain things that you took for granted back home. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Do you have a favorite venue here or venues?
I, funny enough, have not gone to a ton of shows.
What about playing?
I haven't even played a ton of shows here.
Oh, yeah?
Because my situation with Holocene, I got hooked up with them and we just tour. Like they're a established touring band. So I didn't explore really the Broadway scene. I didn't explore like an East Nashville original scene or anything like that. The 3.5 shows I played here, the first one was a drum off. You probably remember there were advertisements for it. There was a drum off for who's the Nashville's best drummer. And I got to participate in that, and that was at East Side Bowl. So I guess we'll say East Side Bowl.
Okay.
My other 2 times I was playing Bowie's.
Oh,
and I like Bowie's.
Yeah.
Like huge moose head with a bunch of bras. What's not to love about that? But they're not around anymore. So, and the other venue I played was Punk Walk.
Oh, yeah?
And that was weird. Like, in a cheeky way. You're literally playing a sushi spot.
Wow.
They clear out tables and you're playing. But that was for an R&B jazzy kind of thing. So that fit that spot a little more.
Nice.
Final answer is East Side Bowl.
East Side Bowl. Okay, cool. What about favorite food? Do you have any favorite restaurants around here?
I really love Pinky Ring Pizza in Madison. And I got to ask them, I'll look at the camera. It's really expensive, guys. And it's not that it's not worth it, but us musicians cannot afford that on a weekend basis. So, and every time it kind of fluctuates. I'm not trying to talk smack, but I think they're still trying to get their footing. But damn, that's good pizza. Otherwise, I had Dream Burger.
Oh, yeah.
Dream Burger's solid.
Burgers.
Yeah. I like Beehive too, of course. Who doesn't like that? And then my other go-to spot is Persis Biryani, which is an Indian restaurant in Franklin. And there's a couple other locations, but my only time ever going was in Franklin. And I kind of found out living here that, like, no offense to, that's my phone, it's the YYZ rhythm. No offense to the city or anything, like, a lot of bad restaurants.
Yeah.
A lot of bad restaurants. So I just, now if I find the good spot, I just go there. Let's throw some other ones. Some other ones are coming to mind. I love Crema Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
That's my spot. I have to give an honorable mention to, oh, damn, what's it called? It's in the Graduate Hotel. It's a coffee place.
Frothy Monkey?
No. I can't think of it now. It's on West End. I think it's West End. Church Street. Doesn't matter. Otherwise, I like Mitchell Deli too. Mitchell Deli's great.
Mitchell Deli.
Yeah, everyone loves Mitchell Deli.
Okay, awesome. So what is some advice you would give to someone who's going to move here and do art?
Save up money. Like, save up a nest egg that would allow you to not work a jobby job for an entire year. Or close to an entire year. Because you don't want to move here and then be stuck flipping burgers when you're supposed to be creating and mingling and meeting people. Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of annoying though. But so that would be my big thing. I did that, and that really helped out a lot.
Okay.
To allow me to go to a bunch of drum things. like Pearl put on a showcase on a Thursday, I think. I don't know if you went to that. It was a Thursday, and it was in the middle of the day. I'm thinking, has the availability to go to this? You know, midday, everyone's busy, right? They're going to be at work, but there are a lot of people that showed up. But it just allows you to really spend your entire year making connections and figuring out what's where and who's where.
Okay, awesome. So reflecting back on when you first started as an artist, what is one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome, and how did you get through it?
You know, a resounding thing that I have to overcome is just being myself. A lot of people don't understand. You asked earlier how I would define myself, and that's being over the top. And I like that. All my favorite bands I listed are over the top. And there's so many people that just don't get it. I would do a talent show, and one of the judges would say, "You really got to stop flipping your sticks, man. Like, Ringo Starr never flipped a drumstick." It's like, you don't get it.
Not Ringo Starr.
I'm not trying to be Ringo Starr. Entirely, you know, but I'm also not trying to be Tommy Lee either. I just like that part of it. So just overcoming people who don't get it. And then a lot of times I'll play a song and it just has a bunch of crazy drum fills in it. And someone might go, you know, you really could like play a lot less here. And it depends on the song. If it's my song, I can do whatever I want with my song.
Right.
I had hired a producer. Now, granted, I didn't really know that I probably shouldn't hire a producer, and we didn't really have the conversation of, I just want you to record the songs, how we wrote them. But he kind of started squashing on things, and it was like, got to a point where it's like, I'm just paying you to record this and make it sound really good. If I wanted a producer, I would have kind of like let you know. So it's just coming across people that just want to kind of like push you down, and they don't want to try new things. I've even had bandmates who were too afraid to try new things. It's like, well, that's not going to get us on the radio. That's not going to get us a hit song or something. It's like, well, do you think that Avenged Sevenfold was thinking about that when they wrote Beast and the Harlot? No. They were not thinking about that. They were thinking about the whole big picture and the artistry of it and the shock value and just having fun. You know, it doesn't even have to be strategic. It's just writing things that you think are cool and fun.
It serves you first before it serves the audience.
Yeah, and maybe that's selfish.
No,
but I have always believed that if I like the thing that I'm putting out there with my whole heart, then the right people will find it.
Exactly.
So that served me well.
Okay. What is your biggest personal growth from last year to this year?
Personal growth. Check the time.
What? No,
I know. It was just like such good timing. Like if you were to be watching this, you'd go, "All right, Q, let's go, buddy."
I just didn't want to make sure we didn't run out of time.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in more recent events, I am now an eligible bachelor. So I now have to live on my own. I've never had to do that before.
You're single now?
Yes. Oh. And I am intrigued to see what that's about. So is that growth?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's going to end up being growth because now I have to figure out how to do that. Not that I'm like a child baby, man baby or anything, but that'll be a new thing. So
how long were you in a relationship for?
Like almost 4 years. I don't really want to get into it. Like we didn't come here for drama hour with Q.
Yeah, no.
But that's the only answer to your question that I could think of is, you got to do that. So
we can take the portion out where you talk about 4 years. We can move that.
You can keep whatever.
Okay.
I'm pretty open book, but That's my best answer to your question that I have for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how can people support you as an artist?
I mean, this sounds kind of like cliche, but pay attention. Like, just watch what, I feel like nowadays we all just like see the post and we just keep scrolling past it. We're just at a day and age like that of just watching the video is support enough. And giving it a chance. I don't think people actually click on a YouTube link anymore to watch a video. And a lot of effort goes into videos and recordings, and I don't just I have a lot going on. It probably seems like I just have this machine going, or it's like there's something all the time, but so many hours went into that it'd be such a shame if people didn't see it, because it might be the best part of their day.
Yeah. Awesome. So how do you like to consume media? Do you have favorite YouTube videos? Like stuff you like to watch on YouTube?
Yeah, I like YouTube. I used to have a lot of CDs, but when I moved here, I had to get rid of them all, or most of them. But I prefer CD as my listening device, because you're kind of committed to the album then. So that's like the old school part of me, but I like books a lot.
What books have you been reading?
I have started The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh yeah.
I haven't touched it in about a month because I've been too busy. But I'm intrigued about the idea.
What about other books?
I'm a comic book dude, so there's a new Black Label series through DC called, what is it called? First Night? Batman First Night. It goes back to 1939, and it tells a really like, Black Label is the adult series where it's like 18 or older because the images are graphic. So they show a bunch of like blood and guts and stuff, and it's funny to see Batman in his like very basic costume with purple gloves, just beating the crap out of like a Nazi, because they start to kind of, that's the timeline, right?
Yeah.
So the Nazis are kind of like becoming a bigger deal, and it's just a more historic touch point. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm like absorbing media. Yeah, YouTube's great. I watch like not music related, but still creative. I watch flower arranging videos.
Oh wow.
I really like that. My mother's side has like a greenhouse gardening kind of through line. So I feel like I can keep in touch with that by watching flower arranging videos and stuff like that.
Cool. Do you have any favorite movies?
Favorite movies? I love A Nightmare Before Christmas. I love any Batman movie's good. Batman vs Superman is kind of meh, but it's Batman, so I'll take it. I love really any Tim Burton movie. Edward Scissorhands is lovely. The movie Big Fish is great. I weirdly like American Psycho. There was a time where I would play a show back in Wisconsin, because I'm not really playing like local shows here. I would play a show and I'd come home, it'd be like 2 a.m. and I'd throw on like any of those movies and just like chill out. And 30 minutes later it'd be off because I'd be too tired. So
nice.
It was just, I don't know, a weird sort of ritual.
I got you.
But they're comforting.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay, is there anything you would like to add that I might not have asked you about?
Dude, I think you hit it all. Kiss, Batman, Black Veil Brides. I play with Holocene, my band's idol. I'm a drummer, and that's a peek behind the curtain, I guess.
Okay, I've got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Absurd? You ask this for everyone, don't you? Because I remember this came up in another question. I thought, what is something absurd that I do? I think flower arranging is something no one would peg me to be into. But that's a hobby I like. But absurd? I I spend an absurd amount of time getting my hair right. I guess that's something that's kind of absurd. I guess another absurd thing is I eat usually the same lunch every day.
What is that?
There was a time where it was a peanut butter sandwich. And then there was another time where I had gotten jelly, so it was peanut butter and jelly. And then that all ran out, so then I got back on the lunch meat kick, and now it's salami sandwiches, because it's just cheap and affordable. But I just eat the same thing all the time.
Nice.
Probably because I then don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And I can just go back to doing what I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love a good peanut butter sandwich.
Good stuff. Like classic.
I go through probably a jar a week of peanut butter.
Wow. Okay, then you really love peanut butter.
Yeah. I'll eat it straight. I'm a crunchy peanut butter guy.
I am a crunchy peanut butter guy too. It's good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Quinton.
Thank you
for doing this.